Sunderland have had a remarkable start to their Premier League campaign. The Black Cats are currently fourth, only losing twice during their opening 10 games. In this video, we're going to examine how Sunderland's defensive structure is so effective, the brilliance of their tactics with the ball, and why set pieces have been so critical to Sunderland's attacking threat so far this season. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel. My name's Jack Ward, where twice a week we're going to take a deep dive into the tactics that make the beautiful game so brilliant. The biggest thing that Sunderland have done so well this season is defend in a low defensive block. This is an example against Wolves recently, and they are so organised. And we can visualise it with showing you that every Sunderland player is behind the ball in that rigid 4-4-2 shape. And they're still controlling the game here just without the ball. If you go and look at the average possession numbers, they're comfortably in the bottom half of the Premier League. They're not expecting to dominate the ball, but they can dominate the space. And the way they do that is occupy those important spaces on the pitch and also shut off those passing lanes. And those key passing lanes are completely restricted by the positioning of the Sunderland players during this moment here, because Wolves and any team want to play ideally through the middle of the pitch. The player on the ball here, he wants to go into these central positions here. He wants to ping a pass into central areas. He could go long as well, but again, he knows he's got to get it through these Sunderland players. And also, you've got two defenders there, very close to Strand Larsen. So those central passes are very difficult to play when Sunderland are defending like this. So instead of going through them, they've got to go around them. And that's far less dangerous from a Sunderland position because they can reshape, they can organise, and the wide areas are far more comfortable than those central areas. Outside of their matches against Chelsea and Everton, Sunderland have defended with a back four, getting everyone behind the ball, making life incredibly difficult for teams to play through the middle. This is Chelsea's pass map from their match recently, and you can see that there are almost no consistent passes being played through the middle of the final third, and everything instead is being forced out wide, just as I showed you in that last screenshot against Wolves. And because Sunderland have done such a good job of denying teams any kind of joy through the middle, they've been able to limit the quality of the opposition's chances significantly. So much so they've conceded an expected goals of 11.4, and only Arsenal have conceded less actual goals in the Premier League so far this season. Their ability to mix it up is fascinating. Only a handful of teams have managed to put together more 10-plus pass sequences this season, but they're also happy to go direct too, averaging 20 long balls per 90. Essentially, they sit bang in the middle of the league on both counts, showing they can adapt, be flexible, as mentioned, depending on whatever the game demands. Sunderland have registered a non-penalty XG of just 9.22 so far this season, averaging only 15.3 touches in the opposition box per match, the second lowest in the league, ahead of only Burnley. To make matters even more confusing, just 21% of their final third entries have led to entries into the opposition's penalty area. That's the lowest rate in the Premier League. So taking that all into account, the question I want to get to the bottom of is, how on earth have Sunderland managed to score 12 goals? Because statistically, it's hard to argue they've created all that much, especially from open play. That's a little hint for you. In modern football, where games can be decided by fine margins, set pieces can be a really decisive factor. Whilst in open play, a lot of it is uncontrollable, set plays are a restart situation in the middle of the game that can be practiced and ultimately, to a certain extent, can be controlled. In fact, of the 232 Premier League goals we've seen as of researching this video, 19% of them have come directly from set pieces. There's so much noise about how teams are favouring the use of set pieces this season. Well, that stat definitely backs that up. In the Championship last season, Sunderland sat in the bottom half for set play XG and around mid-table for set play scored. By no means were they bad, but in comparison to so far this season in the Premier League, they've come on leaps and bounds. The Black Cats have accumulated 37 set-piece opportunities so far, scoring on 3 occasions with a whopping 43.9% of their total XG created this season coming directly from a set play. I wanted to briefly show you a few examples of the Sunderland set pieces. Firstly, taking a look at the corners, because almost every corner that Sunderland have taken so far in the Premier League has had the back post as their target. They're always looking to find that back post. You want to know why? I mean, take a look at that. Look how many bodies they have inside the 6-yard box. Now, aside from the obvious benefits of getting a header as close as possible to the goal, that's why you'd mainly have those players so close to the goal inside the 6-yard box. By cramming so many bodies in there, it makes it very difficult for the opposition to counterattack on them. And it's not just this example either. We can move on to this one here. Again, lots of bodies, maybe just outside, but we'll be running into that 6-yard box when that corner comes into the back post. This example here, very similar this time. Lots of players hovering around the outside of the 6-yard box when that ball comes in. They're going to be hitting that back post there. With so many players to defend inside the box, this means that the opposition have no choice but to use so many of their own players to defend, leaving very little opportunity to play forwards quickly if they clear the danger. So Sunderland, by committing those bodies from a corner in this way, are actually making it more difficult for teams to counterattack on them. So I think that's a little observation to take away from this. Quite subtle, but I think it's quite insightful. Some of Sunderland's best chances have come from long throws into the box. They scored one against Chelsea recently, but one of their best chances against Wolves is actually a better example of what their normal routine looks like. Nordi Mukiele is the go-to long thrower for Sunderland, and we know how many teams are using long throws nowadays. It is certainly a helpful set-piece scenario. So what they normally do is Sunderland is fire this long throw into this position just in front of the 6-yard box. And they've normally got a big player there ready to leap. And in this case, they do. It's Dan Ballard. And his job is to win the header and flick it to the back post. And there's always at least one Sunderland player looking to make a run. So everyone in this position here is crammed in one position. All very, very tight. Defending, attacking, everybody is in a very congested part of the pitch. Move on to our second screenshot here. You can see everybody's concentrating on Dan Ballard and where that ball is going, just outside the 6-yard box. And then one Sunderland player, in this case it's Trai Hume, just drifts away and heads towards the back post. The ball comes over, it's flicked on from Dan Ballard just as planned. It then reaches Trai Hume at the back post, and then he has a free header on goal with nobody marking him and nobody even realising that he's just subtly slipped away whilst everybody else is worried about what's going on in there. Now, Trai Hume doesn't actually score this. He really should. It hits the post instead. And maybe I was thinking quite naively, but when we think of a long throw, you just sort of think of the player that's got the best throw, lobs it into the box, and mistakes can happen. It's carnage. But actually, there are tactics and preparation going in to these set play scenarios. Not just corners, free kicks, also from long throws. I thought that was really, really fascinating and certainly something to mention in this video. Sunderland's remarkable start to life in the Premier League hasn't come from luck or from blowing teams away with endless amounts of attacking stardust. It's come from structure, discipline, and clever preparation. They've mastered defending deep as a unit. They're flexible enough to adapt to any opponent that comes at them. And they've found real value in set pieces, a part of the game that's giving them an extra crucial edge when margins are tight. I should say a huge thank you to Bradley, who put this wonderful work together over on the Total Football Analysis website. I haven't been able to include every detail because he went so in depth, and Sunderland have got so many layers to their game. So make sure you check out the full article with the link in the description below. I'll see you next time.
Want to take your football analysis to the next level? Visit totalfootballanalysis.com now and get a 2-week free trial. Gain exclusive access to in-depth match breakdowns, scouting reports, and expert insights. Don't miss out. Start your free trial today.